We're recording, but I can't tell if we're live yet. So
Says
you
we're
never
live.
know.
Yeah, it says on mine that we're live. So
Perfect.
I am so glad to be here today. We are talking today, and today's topic is rest and digest or fight and flight. And I'm sorry for those of you that weren't on with us just 2 minutes ago as we started this discussion, and we're kind of just discussing how our world influences the things that we have going on. So, by introduction, I'm Jared Jarvis. I'm here today with the wonderful Leanne Mason, and we're pretty proud of our opportunity to be able to be here and dial in. And I'm thrilled that we get to do this on a regular basis. We are on a streak. We do this all the time. And for those of you, this may be your first time connecting with us. Welcome. We're glad to have you here. If this is not your first time and you're connecting with us again, we want to hear from you, and we want to know what kinds of things you want to learn about. But one of the things that we were just talking about is these handy little things that we have on. For so many of us, I wear my watch all the time. And the other day, it told me that I had done all my walking for the day. And I know for a fact I had not. And it's interesting the world that we live in that is telling us that we are being sufficiently active when activity is not actually happening. And when we're supposed to be actually resting, that our bodies are actually in full blown activity. And so, how do we adjust for that? How do we face some of that? And I think that Leanne hit it on the head when we were talking before we went live, that a lot of that has to do with the digital world that we're living in. So I know that those of you that are watching us, are watching digitally. You're watching on those same devices that we're going to be talking a little bit about today. So we encourage you to take what we're talking about, and then maybe put down the phones. Go apply some of the things that we're going to be talking about. So, Leanne, I mean, you have a couple thoughts. Go ahead and take
Yeah.
this
So
away.
first, I want to start with we're not doctors. We can't diagnose and treat. We are educators, we are coaches, and we are passionate about helping others to live their best life. And we are talking about there's so many studies coming out about instant gratification and the dopamine hits. And unfortunately, these digital devices and AI and content creators and all these things are striving to give you those dopamine hits. The problem is they are not healthy for our actual physical well being because it is disrupting our natural reward system. So when Jared and I were growing up, you got that from one on one or group play and interaction. Going outside and being with friends gave you that natural dopamine hit. And dopamine is core to our neurotransmitters, which is the brain's natural reward system. And these digital devices and the instant access to everything then creates a synthetic, for lack of a better word, right? Um, Rewards response. I mean, I don't know about you, but I grew up having to look up things in an encyclopedia. And now what do? We just reach for our phones. Now, we're not saying that technology and our devices are bad. What is bad is that we can't get away from them. Or I was talking to Jared about the fact that I often put my phone on do not disturb when I'm working with clients or working on school because I do get distracted. And so whatever gets my attention. And so if the phone rings or a text comes in, my family will tell you that I am guilty of being in a conversation with them and having a text come in and I get lost. So I have to be more intentional. So it's about being intentional with our data usage. For our younger children, we as adults need to set those boundaries. So, Jared, what are some of your thoughts? Because I loved how you talked about um, being, and I forgot it's rest and digest cycle. I put rest and reset because in my brain, clearly, we need to rest and reset. And if we're constantly in this reward, 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 but then there's nothing else to back it up, we're constantly in a state of overactivity, which doesn't allow our bodies to reset.
Absolutely. So it's all about our sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system and the ways that our body responds to different stimuli. Now, we talk about this all the time when we're talking about the aroma touch technique. And for those of you that have seen me teach or seen me talk about this, you know that I'm passionate about the aroma touch. I think it's a fantastic thing that we can do. But here's, kind of how this boils down for a lot of this. Your body needs opportunities to go into that rest and digest. And there's times, though, that people are overly stimulated, whether that's digitally, whether that's chemically, whether that's all kinds of different ways. And very often these are happening in a way that is preventing the body to then return to the rest and digest. So if we're talking about a place called homeostasis, what we're talking about is the body's ability to balance and go back and forth at will to the states that it needs to be in. So if I am supposed to be in rest and digest, my body's recovering and needing that. If all of a sudden I'm taking a 5 hour energy, I'm taking soda, I'm taking and using my phone, and all of a sudden I've got those flashing lights stimulating my cortex and keeping me digitally active, I'm stimulating the body and preventing it from getting into a place of rest and digest. Likewise, we have times that we can see people that, need to be in that fight or flight where they are up and moving and getting things done that might be overly stimulated or overly sedated, not stimulated, overly sedated by some of the choices that they're making. And that can again be because of digital devices, that can be because of the music that we're listening to, the foods that we're eating, supplements. I mean, I know people that, if we're talking about that fight or flight response and that saber-toothed tiger jumped out at you, would just be like, eat me, they wouldn't respond in an appropriate way because their body is not in that place to be able to respond in an appropriate way. So what we're really talking about is helping our body do what it does so masterfully, which is be able to balance and respond to those stimuli as they come up, and then help the body to be able to naturally return to that place of rest and digest. And when we can reach that homeostasis, it's pretty profound what the body can do to promote healing, to promote overall wellness. I mean, yes, we've got to be able to get up and run and do the things that we need to be able to do and be stimulated when those stimuli come. But, if your baseline is that you are always on your device or always stimulated, it gets harder and harder to get to a place where you actually feel like you have the energy to rise above that and then be able to do the things that you need to do. And I think I've seen people, and I've talked with a lot of people that have been stuck in that, where they just always feel exhausted. They always feel like they never get enough rest. Like they're never getting to a place where they actually have a lower baseline so that when they need that stimuli, they can actually respond appropriately.
Love that. And there's so much research. And you guys, I'm just going to drop some of the links in the research to both the information on rest and digest and the information on dopamine hits with cell phones. The more you know, the more proactive you can be for you and your family. And that's what we want to help you do is improve your overall wellness by getting some education just in little snippets that will help you to be able to make informed. It goes along with the informed self-care, right? We talk about the doTERRA wellness pyramid all the time, and rest is part of it, proper nutrition, exercise, informed self-care.
Human interaction.
See, I think we totally need to add human interaction into our information. Unfortunately, the trends are showing less personal interaction and more interaction with AI because people feel safe with AI. And we've had this conversation in our home of using AI responsibly, right? So we've got to learn to put down the digital devices and have human connection and those conversations. So we
Absolutely.
hope that you find some wisdom in this and you find things that work. Find one thing to implement in your family that can make a change to help regulate our bodies because we were not meant to run at 100 miles an hour and constantly. So,
And for those of you that are reading this, let us know what kinds of things you do to be able to disconnect, to unplug, to allow your body to actually return to that place of rest and digest. And I want to see some of those things in the comments. So make sure that you tell us because I'm always learning too. And if I can learn from somebody else some tip, some little piece of something that helped me to do better on day when I may be distracted, when I might have a million things going on. Sometimes it's just that one little bit that makes a difference. So I want to know what kinds of things you do to be able to disconnect.
okay, so then you better answer that question. What is your go-to to disconnect?
Well, you know what? I love putting down my devices. That is not something I necessarily have a problem with. And all morning this morning, I got time with my grandson, and I'll tell you what, grandbaby hugs are about the best thing ever. And I love that human interaction, that personal time, getting to talk with friends, getting to laugh, getting to connect, and then being able to turn off the devices, like at the end of the day, turn off the devices, maybe read, maybe have a conversation that's not just watching something that's stimulating your eyeballs, and then making sure I get some good sleep. It goes a long ways towards me functioning well the next day.
I love that. In our home, we love cooking together. So we interact as we're cooking. We also like sporting events together where we're unplugged and we're focusing on the sporting event. So yeah, I love exercise too, getting out and going for walks, working out, those kinds of things that help me get away from the distraction. And so connection with nature, connection with others, and spending time away from the distraction.
And since you mentioned connection with nature, let's also talk for just a moment about Shinrin Yoku.
Oh, I love that.
Forest bathing, if we talk about oils all the time, forest bathing is an amazing practice, and Shinrin Yoku is all about supporting that act. Whether we can actually get out in nature. I mean, if I'm here in Arizona and it's summertime, it's 120 degrees outside. I'm not going to go for a walk in the middle of the day, but I can put that Shinrin Yoku into my diffuser and help support my body with some of the chemistry that is going to help support that act of forest bathing, as though I were going out for a walk.
I love that. I think I might put some Shinrin Roku on when we end this and walk on my treadmill for a little bit and get a little bit of that movement in. Really quick, just what came to mind too is studies have shown you don't want to rest directly in the digest phase. You want to, in that initial digestion phase, be up moving around to help move that stuff around. So 10 minutes after you eat, spend that time up and moving in whatever form, walking around, different things like that, so that you get proper digestion. Don't go and lay down and take a nap after you eat.
I love it. It's a great tip. So thank you, Leanne. Okay, So this is it for this week's Wellness Wednesday. We would look forward to hearing from you guys, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Leanne, tell us real quick about our upcoming classes.
So, our class tomorrow night is about our strengths. So, whether you have your strengths report or not, it's going to be very educational. If you have your strengths report, bring it with. Ronay is going to teach about the things that I get to do because of my strengths and I don't have to do because of my strengths, which is super powerful. And then next week, our class is on our self care without guilt, which also kind of leads into some of the things about detoxing and getting away from digital is doing those things that help you rejuvenate without feeling guilty. So, all right. Thanks for joining us.
Bye.